Hello and welcome back to episode 3 of the Back in Business podcast. I'm Rob Miller.
And I'm Steven Wiseglass.
How are you,
How are
Stephen?
you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. It feels only like yesterday since the last one.
I think we're getting used to it now, aren't we? We'll soon be on TV.
Well, we already are.
I suppose so. Well, today we've got another very special guest joining us. Should we bring him in?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Hi, so welcome to Simon Kaye, who's a partner at Lopian Gross Barnett. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm very well, guys. How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're
doing all right. Yeah. Still here.
Feels surviving rather than thriving is the phrase I think at the moment that keeps coming up.
I think you're probably right, actually.
You must have been quite busy over lockdown, helping out your clients try and put projection of cash flows or helping apply for some extra finance and getting them through this time.
Stephen, the first, the day the Chancellor stood up, I had, tens of clients messaging me over WhatsApp saying, "Do I qualify for this?" And I'm saying to them, "I don't know. This is the first I've ever heard of the word furlough." The first few weeks were very busy. Furlough claims, loan claims, cash flows, exactly as you say. Doing a bit of forecasting, businesses saying to us, we need to accelerate doing our accounts, but also things that got pushed back as well. So it was a bit of juggling, lots of time on the phone. Huge amounts of time on the phone trying to answer questions and just work out what this whole new world was. But it's been an interesting time. Took a few weeks and things settled a little. Clients I think went away then to try and get used to how they were going to run their business and make plans for themselves.
It's funny. We'd never even heard of the word furlough before March. I know it existed.
Not only have we never heard of the word furlough, my kids now know the word furlough. And they've not got a clue what it means, but they know the dad deals with it on a regular basis.
Yeah, exactly. But how much of those phone calls we actually paid for? That's the problem. A lot of accountants I know were very, very busy, but how much of it was actually paid work? It's more
I think you're absolutely right, and we don't know. I think what it is, as with most decent professional services firms, you're focused on your relationships and you're focused on trying to help people, and almost that side of things just goes out the window. You just want to be there, and you can't always give the answers, and you've got to be completely honest. But the last thing you want to do is your clients to think, well, then they're not here for me when I need them. And good or bad, don't get me wrong, not everyone's been in a difficult situation. There've been some who've done quite nicely, but they've also got questions and how do we do this? And so you just got to crack on and deal with it. The hardest bit has been that constant, and I'm sure both the same for you, the constant flow on the telephone. You're feeling like you're playing telephone tag, and you're constantly, I'll call you back, and you don't want people to think you're ignoring them. But when you're not having face-to-face, everything's over the phone or on Zoom.
It's very difficult. Did you manage to slow down and relax at all during lockdown, or have you just been constantly at it?
I think after the first few weeks, there was a bit of a breather, and I think I realised quite quickly I'm not very good at having a breather. But things did settle, and it gave us a bit of time to try and work out things for ourselves. Both at home, but also in the office, in terms of our own staffing situation, how to manage that, what we were going to do, a bit of strategic planning ourselves. Because initially there wasn't any time for that. It was just look after clients, and you've got to keep your own house in order as well. What about you? Have you managed any time?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, certainly it was interesting, wasn't it? It was quite nice for a few weeks, and you kind of realize that actually life is a bit too fast and a bit too stressful, and you can slow down a little bit, and then the novelty of that soon wears off, and you realize actually I want to be back in the office, and I want to be back to normal again, and what is normal, and having the kids off school as well doesn't help matters. And now we're into the great summer holidays of the kids really.
Well, the kids now have been out of the house more than they've ever been during lockdown because they're now out of school. They're in club now, so.
I think, you know, as I say, during that period where things quietened off, took the advantage, you know, did some good bike riding, both myself and with the kids, and that was great. The problem is the kids get into this false sense of normality, and then 2 weeks later, when you're trying to get back into things, they're like, right, can we go for a ride this afternoon, Dad? And you're like, well, no, I'm actually working. That's been hard trying to educate them, I think, to understand that this is a tricky time for them as well.
It's what I find at the moment is it's actually even more settling now, more unsettling now, because at least during lockdown, you had some certainty. You weren't allowed out, you know, you had to work from home, and now you kind of, we don't know whether to come, whether to go, whether to, you know, and Stephen was just telling us before, he's just been to a meeting this morning and a guy put his hand out to shake his hand, and you don't know what to do with yourself. Did you or didn't you shake, Stephen?
I did shake. It was an elderly gentleman, and he put his hand out as he would always do, and he's probably more at risk than I am. So
he wasn't a fist pumper then, or an elbow.
No, but his son was.
I've had a few elbow bumps with clients. No handshaking yet, but I went to see my brother who's been quarantining, and he's out of quarantine now, and he gave me a hug. I was, you know, and my kids like looked at me like, "What are you doing? You can't do that." You know, horrific.
Is that the famous brother?
This is my famous brother, yes.
Well, maybe we should get him on next to do us a bit of some singing or acting on the show.
Rob, your interview with him will be far more exciting than an interview with me. So, you know, but he, no, I think you're right. That uncertainty, that change, that feeling of grass shoots. Sorry, it's like little bits that feel like it's getting there, and yet you don't quite know how to deal with it.
No. So, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, there's real mixed messages out there at the moment. Some are saying we're going to bounce back. Some are saying we're in for a deep, long recession. The truth is, nobody knows. What's your view?
But nobody knows, so you're going to ask me the question and see if I can get it up as well.
Just for your opinion, that's all.
Look, I am an optimist, so I generally tend to take a positive view. I do see with some of my clients, just from talking to them, that once things are back open and running, they expect things to turn quite quickly. That V-shaped recovery that we've all heard about. I suspect, I think, you know, the realist in me says, I think it is going to be a few hard years, but I think there will be certain sectors that will suffer it, you know, better or worse than others. You know, what is the world of office space going to be like? You know, that we hear a lot about that. Tourism and hospitality. My kids don't know this, so hopefully they're not watching this, but we've just found out this morning that our trip that we had planned for October, the flight's just been cancelled, so they're going to be delighted about that. So I think, you know, tourism, hospitality, leisure, and I've got clients in some of those sectors are going to find it really tough for the next 18 months. Retail is going to have a different form, I think. You know, just look at, I mean, we're based in the city centre. Just walk around and the coffee shops that are now open, but how are they going to survive in their current form unless people come back to work? So I think we've got a few years, but I'm hopeful that there will be a good proportion of society that will be okay during that period.
I do think that when people start going out, they will forget very quickly about COVID and lockdown, and they will go and just act as normal as possible and go to those coffee shops. I think I was out on the weekend. I was out on Sunday. We went to the Arndale Centre, and there was people milling around. They were wearing masks. There were buyers out there that wanted to get out, and I do have that sense that when things do get back to normal, life will move fairly quickly. Like, people will want to go buying their coffees every day, and
people need to see people doing it. And once people see people doing it, and that becomes okay again, then as you say, it becomes a bit more natural. And you know, if you read all the press, there's a lot of people at the moment who actually are financially better off than they were before right now. Now, whether that's going to be the case in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, when furlough is gone, obviously is a different kettle of fish.
Well, if you've had a mortgage break and you're on getting your furlough payment and nowhere's open, you're not spending your money, your summer holiday's been cancelled.
Yeah.
I mean, I take a slightly different view. I think there is definitely there's a bounce back effect. I think certainly, people desperate to get out to restaurants and to coffee shops, and again, holidays, when holidays are allowed again, people will be desperate to go on holidays, so they're just going to book. I think there is going to be a big reduction in spending ability, because the number of redundancies already, we've seen a significant number of redundancies. There are going to be certain industries affected very badly, which will affect people and will affect the overall economy as well. I think the difference this time, it's not bank led. The recession isn't bank led particularly. So as long as the banks still lend, people can get on the property ladder and that sort of stuff. There's a possibility we will come out of it a bit quicker, but I do think there's going to be some tricky times ahead for a lot of people. And the truth of the matter is as well, I think there are a number of businesses who were sort of stumbling along before this, and it's those businesses that are probably going to struggle the worst and be the hardest hit. I think if you're a solid, sound business beforehand, and you're able to adapt and change with the times, I think you'll probably be okay. What sort of advice would you be giving your clients at the moment if they came to you and are you doing things like cash flow forecasting for them and helping them to restructure and refinance, that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so we've helped cash flow forecasting in some cases. Particularly, we've helped a couple of clients just restructure their shareholding position. So there were things were a bit messy, and they're now wanting to raise funds. So let's say we want to take out some minority shareholders who really don't play a part in this business going forward. So we've got a bit of time to do it now. Maybe values are a bit lower. We'll try and negotiate. Equally, smaller businesses that are trying to use this opportunity to grow and that are a bit more lean and mean and a bit able to adapt, they're trying to put in structures and plans in place to incentivize people. So we've seen a few people doing share option schemes and that sort of stuff to try and really get the talent on board. What would I be saying to people? I think one of the things I've found most useful is being able to talk people like yourselves, solicitors, other professions across various different sectors, just to hear and get the input from other people, what they're doing, what are they experiencing. And that's been really useful for us. Obviously, we are only as good as our clients, in the sense that if they're all doing well or struggling, then it's going to directly impact us. So that for me has been really useful. And I think I would suggest to the clients that they use the time to step back. They've got 3 months, as I see it. And you said it, Rob. There'll be this bounce back, and then there's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of redundancies across various sectors. Between now and October, now is the time to really make the right decisions so that you can hit the board running from the start of October, November time. And most of my clients are saying to me that Q4, Q1 next year, that's where they're really going to see what's happening.
No, I agree. I think that's right. And I think probably in around a month or 2 months, businesses, once the government stop their support, that people are going to run out of cash as well. The bounce back loans, the furlough monies, the grants, everything else. When you lose 3 months trade, to get that back is tricky. And so from a cash flow perspective, it's going to be very tricky. So I think the buzz phrase, isn't it, is work on the business rather than in the business. That's what a lot of people are saying. Well, you've got the time to do it.
I've seen a few business owners, managing partners, managing directors sort of stepping away from their normal in the business role and actually focusing on getting things in-house right. Keeping the close contact with the bank. If you've got whether you've got a financing facility or actually you're thinking you might want one, just keeping and getting your information to them and making sure that they're there and they can help you when you need them and they're on the right side. We don't have the days of the old bank manager, as people often tell us that it used to be. But actually, some of my clients have said their bank are good to them and have been there to help them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So this is also an opportunity for the entrepreneurs of this world to create new businesses and and set up. You know, the old adage, in 20 years' time, there'll only be 20% of the jobs that we know today. You know, this is probably a real key indicator of that key change. So as a, you know, for a budding entrepreneur, what advice would you give to them now for setting up in business and trying to get ahead of the game?
That's a good question. That's a hard one. I mean, I've seen it. I've had it. Well, I suppose I've had it with a few of my smaller clients who, you know, recognize that things are going to be difficult, and they're trying to whether to run something alongside what they're doing at the moment. But I think the key is that they are investing time. They're not trying to do it on a whim. They're trying to do it properly. So don't rush. You've got a few months. You need to find the time, take the time, so that when you actually go to market with whatever you're going to do, you've really got a good plan. And I've seen quite a lot of those of being collaborative. It's a word that's being used all the time in different senses, but a lot of joint venture or collaborative arrangements between two entrepreneurs who are saying, maybe neither of us really wants to do this on our own, but we've got a good fit and we can make something work together. So I think that's a very good idea. I think the biggest thing, Stephen, I would say is talk to people out there, share your ideas, and go and listen to what people can tell you and the advice you can give. I think that's the most important thing. Financing is going to be very, very difficult, but you know, we open the newspapers and read the finance sections about, you know, people borrowing and that sort of stuff. But I think there are opportunities out there.
So then that leads us very nicely to our capital gains issue, which could be on the horizon of one way of nabbing some more money from the entrepreneur if he wants to set up a business, and his exit route and strategy. And they normally get entrepreneurs relief, which is taxed at 10%, or you pay capital gains, which is a cheaper rate than income tax. Do you think that will have an impact on people setting up businesses and thinking of their exit strategy at the beginning? Or will it just, well, I'm in business, I'm going to do it. It doesn't matter what the tax at the end is, I've got to pay it anyway.
Look, the way it's probably the most, when I say exciting, I mean, you're talking to an accountant here, but in terms of the area of stuff that we've seen quite a lot of, in the last 6 months, we've had a massive change in entrepreneurs relief that went from 10 million to £1 million in terms of the amount that you could get at 10%. But it's still there at £1 million per person, and particularly if you're in a business where you've got husband and wife, that could be 2 million. So I don't think we should dismiss entrepreneurs relief. £2 million gain for a lot of people over the course of their life could be like, you know, huge amount of money. So that's still there. But capital gains, if you're asking me, is it going to change? I think, you know, once you start hearing it, generally it means that there's something going to happen. And they're talking about, there's been numerous suggestions, getting rid of the £12,000 annual exemption that everyone has, or making it in line with income tax. And I think the latter is quite likely, because at the end of the day, you're saying to people, well, you've still got your entrepreneurs relief. Something that isn't talked about a lot is called investors relief, which is another good one for the entrepreneurs that I think will come a little bit to the fore in the next few years. That's still got a £10 million allowance and a 10% rate. So that could be quite interesting. And the other one, which I think you go back to your budding entrepreneurs who are just sort of trying to set something up, EIS and SCIS, which are tax breaks for investors, angel investors, or that sort of thing. That is a huge prospect for people and becomes more and more attractive now. And I think you'll see a lot of young businesses going out trying to attract that sort of investment. If they can't get it from the bank, there are people out there who do have money and who are willing to invest in businesses.
I mean, I just think I think there's huge amounts of opportunity. I think recession generally does create opportunity, and you know, particularly if you've got low overheads. I think the businesses that tend to struggle badly are the ones who have got such high overheads that it's so sensitive to a reduction in trade. And you know, for smaller businesses, I think there's lots of opportunity out there, and it's just a matter of finding that and adapting and diversifying. They're the two key sort of things I'd be telling people to do, because things are changing at such a rapid pace, more so than ever before. I mean, COVID has accelerated so many things that were probably going to happen, but have happened a heck of a lot quicker. For example, web sales and that sort of that. I read that it accelerated by about 5 years, people suddenly wanting to buy off the internet rather than necessarily going to the shops, and things are just going to change dramatically. So I think that there is plenty of opportunity out there.
Right.
I mean, we also had the stamp duty change as well, which is going to have a big impact for property sales potentially.
So we do quite a lot of stamp duty stuff, and actually that's been an area, and this is sort of, you said about has it quietened down. There've been these sort of waves of different things that have come out, and that was the last one, that and the 5% VAT. So, spent quite a lot of time looking at that for a few of our clients. And the stamp duty is a real opportunity, and there's no doubt that there are people out there who are trying to use that opportunity to get out there and buy. I've had a conversation this morning about someone who's looking to take advantage. So there are deals to be done, and there are opportunities out there. But again, it's that what you said, Rob, that bounce, and then what happens in 6 months or 9 months time. But there are things out there that people are doing, and there are some of our clients who've got not too highly geared, who have got some cash behind them, and are now saying, right, let's find a good way to invest this money.
No, it's really helpful, really useful information. I think we're coming towards the end of our allotted time slot. But no, it's been a real pleasure chatting to you, Simon, and you're welcome back whenever you want to. If there's any new change or anything that you want to talk about or promote your business, then you're always more than welcome to come on and have a chat with us.
Very grateful to you both for the opportunity to come and have a chat and share my coffee in a bit. But yeah, no, if there are things, we'll happily share them, and be good to just be in touch. You can have my brother on next week, and he'll take a different approach.
Absolutely.
He could probably do with some investment, by the way. So if you know anyone who's looking to back a young entrepreneur, then there's the one.
Well, it's an entertainment and hospitality industry. It's on its knees. It's
interesting, isn't it, though? The whole theatre industry is in real trouble. I mean, what's he? We were about to finish. What's he doing for work at the moment? No, can you not say?
Well, I don't know whether I can or can't. I think it's very, very tough. Very, very tough. And he's shared with me some of the stories of his friends and colleagues, and it's not pleasant at all. And you sort of feel for them, because you don't know when that's going to come back. Cruise lines, theatres, all that sort of stuff is going to be a while.
Absolutely, it's terrible actually, because the people like to be they're so talented as well that it's a shame. And unfortunately there's only so many of these theatre schools that can just pop up and be successful, because there's a limit to how many people want to do it. So
And you'll imagine even less people right now, where they're seeing what's the opportunities for me on the other side. So
absolutely,
really hard.
Great. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. Take care, and we will no doubt speak to you soon.
Speak soon. Thank you.
Great. So that's it from me.
And that's it from me.
Goodbye.
See you again soon.